We recently moved, my son started the 7th grade, my husband and I both started new jobs, and I got a new plant. Sounds like it's time for a fall full life reset. First, let's start with the psychology. A reset day or week allows you to take some space to think about what you want to accomplish in a designated period of time. That break allows you to examine what's been going well, what hasn't been going as well as you'd like, and what kind of outcomes you're looking for at the end of that period. It can be easy to get wrapped up in the whirlwind of the day-to-day and never take the time to stop to think about what you actually want to get done. Even armies in the heat of battle understand the importance of a tactical pause. The fall, or any other seasonal shift, has the added bonus of being classified by our minds as a new beginning. New beginnings have this magical quality where we feel like we can wipe the slate clean and start brand new. If we haven't met yet, hi, my name is Jay. I'm a clinical psychologist who's worked as a behavioral scientist for the last 10 years. On this channel, we talk about the psychology of change and use evidence-based principles for planning and organization to move from intention to action. It all started 2 weekends ago when I had a deep existential question. What is life? Or more specifically, what does my life consist of? So I brought out my notebook and got started. I'll show you how it worked out. I bring out my sketch pad here because I want no restrictions, a big blank piece of paper so that I can brainstorm as much as I need to. Starting at the very highest level, I want to think through what are my life domains or the different roles that I have in my life. First, I have work. That's my primary job where I work as a behavioral research scientist. My next broad category is home, and that is my role as a wife, as a mother, and as a homekeeper, housemaker, someone who owns a home. And finally, I run the business Flexible Forethought. That consists of this YouTube channel as well as the website and any related income having to do with Flexible Forethought. After breaking my life down into its major life domains, I go into each domain and examine the specific areas within those domains. For example, in work, I have actual research. That's the process of collecting data or analyzing and interpreting data. Then I have writing, which is writing up the results of the research for publication or presenting at conferences and things of that nature. You'll see that the proportions here really kind of mimic how much time I spend in each of the roles. I do have a full-time job, so that's going to take up most of my time. Then home takes up the second most areas, and then my second job here, Flexible Forethought, takes up the smallest amount and is also supposed to take up the smallest amount of my time. Okay, so now I know my major life roles, then I know all of the areas within those roles. Every area is likely to have projects or tasks related to that area. All tasks or projects should fit into one of these areas, and if one area doesn't have any tasks or projects under it, then it's just not something I'm doing these days. All of my work projects are in Notion, so as you can see here, I have a listing of all of my work areas, and under those work areas, I have a listing of all of the projects that fall into each of those areas. Then I've broken down those projects into the individual tasks related to those projects, and I have split up those tasks into a prioritized task list. I use a much more low-tech option when it comes to organizing my home projects. For my work in Flexible Forethought, I do have a Notion page just to manage my video workflow, but I don't have too many other Notion pages related specifically to my online business. So I do work out a lot of what I'm going to be doing with that business on paper. The next thing I do is plan out my ideal week. Since now I know all of my responsibilities and the individual tasks within those responsibilities, I take a weekly overview. You can print out your own weekly overview. I like calendarlabs.com. I like this website because you can set the particular intervals for your weekly overview. So if you want to have 15-minute intervals, 30 minutes, or an hour intervals, you can set that. Usually I have an additional weekly overview in one of my planners, and I try to take the first week and actually just block it out as an ideal week. So that's what I'll be doing here in my Hobonichi Techo. This is the cousin size, which is an A5 size. So you might notice something in my ideal week. You'll notice that there is a lot of grayed out area, and that is because I am prioritizing sleep. Working as a knowledge worker means that you need to have your brain in a peak physical condition, and that really requires about 8 hours of sleep. Now, I tend to get around 7 hours of sleep, but in order for me to wake up and attend work-related things at 5 in the morning, I really need to get up around 4:15 and get out the door to do these 1-hour sprints in the morning. So I need to go to sleep around 8:30 so that I can get approximately 7 hours of sleep every night. So you'll see that I have a big chunk of time that's devoted to sleep. You'll also notice some pretty substantial blank spots on Thursday and on Saturday, a little bit on Friday as well. I think it's important to have these open flex times so that you can utilize that time to address anything that is outstanding. It might be home related, it might be work related, it might be related to my second business, but building in some time for flexibility allows you to feel like you're a success because you're still following your schedule, but it also allows a little bit of flex time. The next point in this life reset is to put in all of the task categories into this weekly overview. For work, if you recall, my major tasks involve conducting research and writing that research up. My fall usually runs from September to November, and science works in this type of cycle. So we collect data, then we analyze the data, then we write up the data, then we make another proposal based on that information, and so on and so forth. So I like to plan in seasons because I know if a season is going to be heavy on data collection, it's very different than if the season is going to be heavy with writing. So for my fall season, I'm mostly going to be doing writing. So I have 2 days, Monday and Friday, dedicated to writing. On days where I'm supposed to be focused on writing, I like to open up my email later in the day. On Wednesdays is my clinic day, so I'm either seeing patients or teaching residents. I have extended days all the other days of the week so that on Thursday I have maximum flexibility. I can work a little bit on my second job in the morning, and then I have a lot of flex time in the afternoon so that I can attend to anything related to any one of my roles. Sunday is a big admin day. Not only do I have the whole day dedicated to working on flexible forethought, but I also have some life chores like budgeting. I do cook family dinners on Sunday, and I'm cooking many of the other days as well. We have our family meeting that day, and then I also have time for my husband and I to watch a movie or watch something on Netflix. I do want to make sure that I have a little bit of flex time for him as well. This is my new routine and my starting point for every week in the fall season. When I have all of my time blocks objectively laid out in front of me, I can understand if I have room to add anything additional or if I need to take some things away. Now comes my very favorite part. I review my Notion system. This includes all of the landing pages I have on Notion and some of the workflows that I have on Notion. I also examine my paper planning system to see if there's any redundancies or if I want to change anything. If I limit my evaluation of these systems to the beginning of the season, it limits me from wasting time doing what I think is productive work by simply planning to plan and never executing on those plans. Next up is a review of my budget. It's hard to budget an entire year ahead of schedule, but when you budget by season, you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to be spending over the next few weeks or major purchases that are coming up. So I like to reevaluate my budget at the beginning of every season. This is also a good time for me to review our debts and our net worth. Finally, it's time for my least favorite part of my seasonal planning. I review household, car, and general adulting things that don't happen on a regular interval. Things that don't happen on a weekly or monthly basis could get ignored over time. Things like changing the oil in your car or the filter in your HVAC system are things that I've overlooked in the past to my own detriment. And things like forgetting to change my toothbrush head really offend my husband. The longest part of my reset generally happens with a good TV show playing in the background. I try on every single article of clothing that I own. Here I am trying on everything in my closet, but I also try on my pajamas, my socks, every single item of clothing to see if it still fits and if it still deserves a spot in my wardrobe. This is part of my ongoing journey toward a more minimalist lifestyle. If you're interested in my full wardrobe try-on, give this video a thumbs up and I will walk you through my full wardrobe evaluation process. That is quite a few steps, which is why I rely on my seasonal checklist. If you want to check out the individual steps of my seasonal reset, I'll leave them in a link down below. And to dive deep into my obsession with checklists, check out this video on the 5 lists you need for stress-free travel.